Hi everyone, I'm ZoranTheBear, and I'm currently taking over for 40k Theories today. But I would like to welcome you to this new episode of 40k Lore for Newcomers. For this episode, nominated on Patreon by the DM, we'll be taking a brief look at the Imperial Fists chapter of the Adeptus Astartes. This video will be a brief overview for certain events that may be explored in greater depth within additional videos within the future. So, without further ado, let's begin.
For more than 10 millennia, during which our enemies within and without have fallen, this Imperium has stood fast. Those who wished it to fall have failed, and will continue to fail as long as we, the Emperor's chosen sons, uphold our duty. Only by protecting humanity can we truly honor the proudest monument to his great works. For the Emperor!
The Imperial Fists are a loyalist space marine chapter that has faithfully served the Imperium of Man since the very dawn of the Great Crusade, where they were originally founded as the 7th Legion of the Legionis Astartes. Like all space marines, each battle brother of the Imperial Fist is a genetically enhanced transhuman super soldier that is larger, stronger, and more durable than a typical human. The chapter is quite arguably the Imperium's foremost siege specialist, and the Imperial Fists are well known for their stoicism, stubbornness, and strict discipline, ensuring that their warriors will always hold the line even against the most insurmountable odds. While the Imperial Fists are famed for their unshakable resolve upon the battlefield and their devotion to both the Emperor and the Imperium, the chapter's warriors are known to develop a predilection, even obsession, with inflicting acts of pain and penance upon themselves, in order to overcome it through self-control and sheer force of will. This act, according to the chapter's chaplains, ensure that not only do the Imperial Fists ensure the purity of their souls, but ensures that their dedication to the Imperium is never brought into question. Indeed, the chapter has become rightfully lauded over its long history for commitment to defending the Imperium from its numerous enemies, and the chapter's warriors will stop at nothing to ensure that those worlds under their protection continue to remain safeguarded for all who stand against them.
Do not look to us for kindness. Do not look to us for hope. We are not kind children of this new age. We are the rocks of its foundation. If you wish hope, then look to what we make. If you wish kindness, then look to those who will come after us.
Established as the 7th Legion of the Legionis Astartes, the future Imperial Fists would begin their long service to the Imperium during the final years of the Terran Unification Wars. Over the course of the unification, the 7th Legion would take part in numerous engagements to achieve many victories for the Emperor, such as capturing the cities of the Crystal Sea and conquering the fortress of the Fifth Circle. One of the Legion's bloodiest campaigns during this time was that of their battles against the Himalaysian Windcaller clans. While the Fists would ultimately prove victorious against the clans, this would come at a bloody cost, as the Legion would lose over 3 battalions worth of troops in the pursuit of victory. As the Emperor began to make preparations for his Great Crusade, the Imperial Fists, along with the future Luna Wolves and Ultramarine Legions, would take part in the pacification of Luna, Terra's moon, and would swiftly bring the lunar gene cults to heel. With the subjugation of Luna, the Emperor now had the facilities and resources needed to produce space marines in mass. The Imperial Fists would prove instrumental in bringing the remainder of the Sol system into compliance, with the Legion even succeeding in preventing a psychic plague from running rampant through the system, during an event known as the Unheard War. The warp-spawn plague, known as the Screaming, would erupt upon a space station in orbit of Uranus in the wake of an assault by Void Pirates, causing those afflicted to effectively scream themselves to death. Over 50 Imperial Fists would give their lives in order to overload the station's reactors, destroying the station and the plague along with it. So moved by the Fist actions, the Emperor was said to have ordered for the Bell of Lost Souls to toll in honor of their heroism and sacrifice. As the Great Crusade expanded beyond the limits of the Sol system, the Imperial Fists would bring scores of worlds into compliance, demonstrating both the Crusaders' mentality and somber disposition, with the latter trait resulting in the Imperial Fists being referred to by the warriors of other legions as Stone Men. Unlike many of the other Space Marine legions, the Fists were known to take steps in ensuring the consolidation of power as opposed to merely moving on to the next war zone. This would result in the Fists constructing a series of fortresses in installments upon these worlds as they were conquered, although the Legion's warriors would make sure not to interfere in local politics, viewing themselves as guests rather than governors. One particularly noteworthy victory achieved during this time saw the Fists bringing the world of Arneus Prime into the Imperial fold. After defeating the forces of the Arneus continuity and the Xenos incursion that appeared shortly thereafter, Arneus Prime would be redesignated by the Imperial authorities as Necromunda, with the Imperial Fists being granted the right to recruit new aspirants for the world's populace. In addition, the Legion would regularly fight alongside the Emperor himself, more so than any other Legion, acting as his personal Praetorians. It was the close association with the Emperor that earned the Legion their name, in reference to the hand of the Emperor gripping victory with an unbreakable fist. Eventually, the Imperial Fists would become reunited with their Primarch, Rogal Dorn. When the forces of the Great Crusade reached the icy world of Inuit, Dorn would swear fealty to the Emperor, gifting him with an ancient void-capable battle station known as the Phalanx. The Emperor would return the Phalanx to his son, however, and the vessel would serve forevermore as the flagship and future fortress monastery of the Fists. With their Primarch to lead them, the Imperial Fists would claim many more victories during the course of the Great Crusade. Over time, Legion would develop a rivalry with the Iron Warriors, who like the Fists were specialists in siege warfare. A mutual hatred would also develop between the Fists and the Alpha Legion, although the reasons behind such enmity being fostered are not entirely clear. Following the culminations of the Olenor campaign and the Emperor's retirement from the Crusade in order to work on his secret Webway project, the bulk of the 7th Legion would prepare to escort the Master of Mankind back to Terra. There, they would be tasked with fortifying the defenses of the Imperial Palace, as part of the Emperor's plans to build a capital that was worthy to rule over thousands of worlds. But as the Legion made their journey to Terra, Dorn's fleet would detect an SOS from the frigate, the Einstein, which had escaped from the Istavan system. After meeting with the ship's passengers, which included a company of loyalist Death Guard warriors led by Captain Nathaniel Garrow and the Remembrances Brasady Olaton and Chiral Cinderman, Dorn would learn that Horus, the Primarch of the 16th Legion and War Master of the Imperium, had turned against the Emperor. Dorn would then order for the bulk of his legion to set course to Istavan, whilst the Primarch and his legion's veteran companies would make their way to Terra in order to warn the Emperor of this rebellion. However, due to an increase in Warpstone activity, the journey to Istavan would prove to be both long and arduous, with even communications being effectively severed for extensive periods of time. Upon reaching the Throne World, Dorn would become the new War Master of the Imperium in all but name, ordering for 9 Space Marine legions to journey into the Istavan system to put down Horus's rebellion. Meanwhile, the Primarch would commence with the fortifications of Terra's defenses, a precautionary measure should the Loyalists somehow prove unsuccessful. Around this time, civil war would erupt upon Mars, the capital of the Mechanicum Empire, jeopardizing future access to essential military supplies. In response, 4 companies under the command of First Captain Sigismund would journey to the world in order to secure a number of forges responsible for producing Astarte-grade material. While they would ultimately prove to be unsuccessful in holding these forges, the Imperial Fists would succeed in securing over 12,000 suits of power armor and 24,000 weapons, though Sigismund's forces suffered horrendous casualties in the process. Around this time, Dorn would learn of the events that unfolded during the Istavan 5 drop site massacre and would broadcast an order of all available Loyalist forces to return to Terra immediately in preparation for the inevitable assault from Horus's forces. Those Imperial Fists that had attempted to make their way to Istavan would receive these orders after finally re-establishing contact with the Imperium, although this did occur during the Battle of the Fall system against the traitorous Iron Warriors. Nonetheless, the Fists would disengage from combat successfully in order to make their way back to Terra. Little did Dorn realize that the Alpha Legion had begun a series of infiltration and espionage operations within the system, with their ultimate goal appearing to be that of capturing Pluto, a key component within the Sol system's communication and surveillance network. This would in turn lead to the Battle of Pluto, which saw Dorn kill Alfarius, one of the twin Primarchs of the Alpha Legion, in single combat, forcing the traitors to retreat. The Imperial Fists would then begin to systematically purge suspected Alpha Legion assets throughout the entire system. But the Siege of Terra finally commenced. The Imperial Fist, along with the Blood Angels and White Scar Legions, would fight valiantly to the defense of the Imperial Palace. During the final hours of the conflict, Rogal Dorn would accompany the Emperor along with Sanguinius of the Blood Angels and a number of warriors from the Legio Custodes and Legions Astartes in a teleport assault against Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit. However, the Lilith's forces would then be scattered throughout the ship during the teleportation process, meaning that the coordinated assault became much more fragmented. Dorn would reach the bridge of the ship in the wake of the Emperor's final duel against the War Master, and the Primarch would return his father's broken body to Terra before entering him into the life support systems of the Golden Throne. Stricken with grief with both his failure to protect the Emperor and to prevent Sanguinius from being murdered by Horus, Dorn and his legion would embark on a campaign of vengeance against the traitor legions, before eventually being summoned back to Terra by Rubicante Guilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines Legion. Guilliman proposed his Codex Astartes, a document which sought to reorganize the Legions Astartes by dividing them into smaller chapters, as so to prevent an event like the Horus Heresy from ever happening again. Dorn initially refused to shatter his legion, but after several days of pain-induced meditation within a bodysuit known as the Pain Glove, he finally relented. Dorn agreed to adhere to Guilliman's codex, although only after his legion had symbolically entered the Pain Glove together, seeking to continue his campaign against the traitors. Soon after this, Dorn would learn that Perturabo, the Primarch of the Iron Warriors, had constructed a great fortress upon the world of Sebastus IV. Seeking to bring the traitor back to Terra in chains, the Imperial Fist launched an all-out assault upon the world, leading to the Battle of the Iron Cage. The Imperial Fist would be utterly decimated during the course of the battle, and would have likely been destroyed had it not been for the timely arrival of reinforcements of the Ultramarines. In the aftermath of this battle, the Imperial Fist would finally be divided into a series of chapters, resulting in the creation of the Crimson Fist, Black Templars, its Creators, Fist Exemplar, and Soul Drinkers, in addition to the Imperial Fists themselves. In secret, however, Dorn would establish a contingency plan for his sons for them to reunite and stand as one, should Terra once again come under threat. The contingency would become known as the Last Wall Protocol. The Imperial Fist would continue to garrison Terra itself for several centuries to come, with the world also providing a steady source of recruits to be inducted into the chapter. While the Fist would recruit from a number of worlds, including Terra, Inuit, Necromunda, and more, the chapter's flagship, the Phalanx, would serve as chapter as their de facto homeworld. Sometime after this, Dorn would command Imperial defenses against one of the earliest Black Crusades, but would seemingly disappear after leading a boarding party upon one of the traitor's flagships, with only his severed hand being recovered by his sons. While his final fate is unknown, the Primarch has been presumed by many to have fallen in battle, though some maintain that Dorn is still alive and that he will return to aid the Imperium in its darkest hour.
For others, the Great Crusade ended long ago. For us, it will not cease until all the worlds of mankind are united once more and the Emperor's golden age returns.
For over 10,000 years, the Imperial Fist would continue to serve the Imperium as a loyal bulwark against the enemies of man, taking part in numerous conflicts such as the Nimbosa Crusade, the invasion of Taladorn, and most recently, a 5-way war for control of the world of Vigilus. However, the conflict that would arguably have the greatest effect upon the modern-day Imperial Fist chapter would occur roughly 1,500 years after the culmination of the Horus Heresy. This conflict would become known within the Imperial records as the War of the Beast. During a genocidal campaign upon the world of Ardamatua against an invasive species known as the Chrome, the Imperial Fist would sustain heavy casualties. When news of such carnage reached Terra, Heth, one of the High Lords of Terra and Lord Commander Militant of the Astra Militarum, would lead a relief force consisting of multiple Imperial Guard regiments and those remaining members of the Imperial Fist that were garrisoned upon Terra. When Imperial forces reached the planet, they would discover a planetoid of near incomprehensible size that had been constructed by orcs, known as an attack moon, which was emerging from the depths of subspace. The orcs would then begin assaulting the planet. Before the attack moon obliterated both the world and the Imperial fleet, initially it appeared that the entire Imperial Fist chapter had been destroyed, though 3 individuals would endure their injuries long enough to be recovered by an Adeptus Mechanicus exploratory vessel several weeks later. Of these Astartes, only Captain Coland of the chapter's second company would survive his injuries. Now the last Imperial Fist, Coland would summon the chapter masters of multiple Imperial Fist successor chapters in order to enact the Last Wall Protocol. As the sole surviving member of his chapter, and having experienced the wrath of the orcs firsthand, Coland would become its de facto chapter master. He would be placed in command of the wider Last Wall, and in time would even be appointed by the High Lords of Terra as Lord Commander of the Imperium. After learning that the orcs were gathering strength upon the world of Ulanor, Coland would begin preparations to launch a full-scale invasion of the world. Shortly after this, the Imperium would learn that Vulcan, the Primarch of the Salamander's Legion, was not only alive, but actively fighting against the Xenos upon the world of Caldera. After journeying to Caldera and convincing the Primarch to aid him, Coland would launch the first assault upon Ulanor. However, the Imperial forces would be forced to retreat, and Vulcan was presumed to have been killed in battle against the Orc warlord known as the Beast, which saw the two being seemingly vaporized by a gargantuan explosion. Upon returning to Terra to regroup, Coland would organize a series of kill teams comprised of warriors that survived the Ulanor offensive in order to destroy an attack moon that had appeared in orbit of the world. Imperial forces would prove to be so successful that these kill teams would go on to form the core of an entirely new Space Marine chapter, the Xenos Hunters known as the Death Watch. Yet over time, Coland would increasingly butt heads with the High Lords, culminating in the Imperial Fist execution Ecclesiarch Mesering, who had been openly worshipping the Orcs as the new masters of humanity. A new plan to deal with the Orcish threat would then be formulated by seeking to engineer a reverse Wog field within the aid of the Sisters of Silence. These warrior women, who projected a negative warp presence, then rendered themselves immune to the energies of the warp, would capture a number of Orc psychers known as Weird Boys in preparation for a second assault upon Ulanor. During the second offensive, Coland would be slain, and with him, the Imperial Fists were utterly destroyed. While the High Lords appear to show no interest in reforging one of the first founding chapters, Maximus Thane, the chapter master of the first exemplar, lamented to his fellow Sons of Dawn that the Imperial Fist did not deserve to be forgotten. And so, with each and every Imperial Fist successor chapter contributing a number of their chapter warriors, as well as a portion of their gene seed stocks, the Imperial Fist would be reborn, with Thane as their new chapter master. Not long after this, a third offensive upon Ulanor would be launched, and this time, the Imperial Fist would prove victorious. Thane, who by this point had also been appointed as Lord Commander of the Imperium, would entrust Terra to Draken Vengerich, the Grand Master of the Officio Audiorum, who had proven himself to be highly supportive of both Thane and Coland. Vengerich was to act as High Lord Protector in Thane's stead. Whilst he and the Imperial Fist hunted down and eliminated the remnants of the Beast Horde, Thane would then decree that the Imperial Fist would no longer remain garrisoned upon Terra, but would hunt down and destroy the enemies of man at a never-ending crusade. Over the course of Vengerich's tenure as High Protector, the Grand Master of Assassins would enact a coup known as the Beheading, which saw the death of all but one of the other High Lords, and replacing them with a puppet government. While Thane was content to ignore Vengerich's treacherous actions for a time, as the Grand Master had succeeded in bringing a measure of stability to the throne world, Vengerich would begin to grow increasingly unhinged and insane, prompting Thane, with 4 companies worth of warriors from 3 separate chapters in tow, to return the Terra. After battling against an army of assassins within the Imperial Palace, Thane would learn that Vengerich had taken shelter within the Assassinatorium Temple. Upon arriving at the temple, Thane's forces would be assaulted by over 300 Eversor assassins, and in the resulting carnage only 3 individuals remained: Maximus Thane, Dragan Vengerich, and an assassin firmly known as Assad Wire. Wire would refuse to kill Thane, allowing the Imperial Fist to execute Vengerich for his crimes. Eventually, new High Lords would be appointed, and the Imperium would slowly begin to return to some semblance of normalcy.
Primarch Progenitor, to your glory, and the glory of him on earth!
While initially appearing to the outsiders as being dour and humanist warriors, the Imperial Fists demonstrate a surprisingly rich chapter culture. Not only do the Imperial Fists pride themselves on their painstaking attention to detail in all military operations that they undertake, but will strive to achieve flawless discipline as well. As a result, they will seek to punish themselves for even the most inconsequential of failures and inadequacies, such as donning the Pain Glove. Despite its name, the Pain Glove is not a glove that merely covers the hand, but instead encases the entire body. It operates by stimulating the various pain neurons of the body, causing immeasurable agony, while simultaneously preventing any long-term physical damage from being inflicted. As far as the chapter is concerned, to experience pain is not only to learn from one's mistakes, but to achieve a measure of spiritual purity. The Imperial Fist, along with their successor chapters, will also partake in a centennial tournament known as the Feast of Blades. This tournament will see each Dornian chapter sending a appointed champion to partake in a test of skill in combat prowess, in order to ensure good relations and strengthen the bonds of brotherhood between the Sons of Dorn. However, the concept of dueling is not limited solely to the Feast of Blades, as should one of the chapter's warriors feel that their honor has been assaulted, then they may challenge those who have offended them to an honor duel, which ends when blood is drawn from one's face. The Fists are also known to practice the art of scrimshawing upon the bones of their fallen battle brothers, turning finger bones into items of jewelry and ornamentation. Such an act, while seen by some to be somewhat macabre, is said to grant the Fists an opportunity to test their focus, discipline, and attention to detail. While the gene seed of the Imperial Fist is noted to be highly stable, it is not without flaws. The Imperial Fist, and by extension their various successor chapters, display 2 deficient zygotes within their genome. As a result, the chapter's warriors are devoid of 2 of a Space Marine's genetic implants, the Belcher's gland and the Sussen membrane, preventing the Imperial Fist from spitting an acidic saliva or entering a state of suspended animation. Despite this, the Imperial Fists do not view such a loss to be a detriment, and have even been known to view these organs as being crutches for less accomplished warriors. And that concludes this episode of 40k Lore for Newcomers. If you liked this video, consider supporting Rimleys on Patreon for more content. And you can also visit me, ZoranTheBear, at ZoranTheBear on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. To those that are new to Warhammer 40,000, we hope you learned something. So leave a comment below, and thank you for watching.